Are you familiar with the 16610 Submariner? Good evening, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Silver Dad Knows. Remember, always live with no edits. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button now, as you're going to like what I'm about to say. So, just to begin this evening, I am presenting right here an 1890 Morgan silver dollar. And I really do not show off my Morgan collection enough. I feel like more than ever, these Morgan dollars are ridiculously underrated. But personally, I view them as a prized coin among, all collectors and silver stackers alike. If you don't have Morgan dollars in your stack and you stack silver, you're not a serious silver stacker. Struck at 4 different U.S. mints. Philadelphia, which has no mint mark. Then you have Carson City, which is CC. You have New Orleans, which is the O. And then you have San Francisco, the S. Each version carries its own level of rarity and collector interest. Composed of 90% silver and 10% copper, each Morgan dollar contains roughly 0.7734 troy ounces of pure silver. Very impressive. And of course, historic, really has that touch that you just don't see anymore in modern pieces. The 1890 CC is by far the standout among the group, often commanding significant premiums due to its low mintage and the historic appeal of the Carson City Mint. The Philadelphia and New Orleans coins are the most common, but still desirable, especially in higher grades or with sharp details. So right here, very sharp details. The San Francisco Mint version offers strong strike quality, adding to its appeal. These coins are not only about silver content, they represent a powerful era in U.S. history, tied to the Wild West. Tied to the Wild West, the silver boom, the American industrial expansion. For many stackers and collectors, 1890 Morgans are more than bullion. Again, I'm speaking for myself. They're time capsules of value. Whether you're buying for numismatic prestige or silver weight, these 1890 Morgan dollars offer both history and real intrinsic worth in the palm of your hand, but very splendid, very attractive. And before I go any further, folks, I want to give a quick shout out. This is to my always loyal subscriber. Very interesting comment, okay? But always loyal subscriber, Randy Smith. The collapse will be short-lived as the reset brings in a new system quickly that will set nearly all people free from the bondage of the current financial system. So I found this comment very interesting from Randy Smith because everybody's so negative and we're going into an apocalypse. Be stacking, have firearms, have ammunition, have physical silver, have a pantry full of water, have 3 to, and it goes on and on and on. But here, Randy's being very optimistic. At least that's how I interpret it, where he says, the collapse will be short-lived as the reset brings in a new system quickly that will set nearly all people free from the bondage of the current financial system. And of course, we can also take that negative where it's like, well, it's going to go south for them and that's what's going to set them free. Or it could be that, we go into this new order, this global order, and they figure it out, at least temporarily. I can agree to that, where they figure it out temporarily, and then you have another calm before the actual horrible storm that, again, is inevitable. And through history, it's the same thing. We never learned. Always doing it again and again and again and again. But yes, folks, wanted to change it up this episode, and this is something that I had wanted to do for some time. My wife had been bugging me for another ring, and of course, I want to get a bargain on when I make my purchases. And I'm also somebody who's been purchasing watches, luxury watches, probably for the last 6-7 years. I've had Omegas, Rolex, Tudor. I currently still own a Panerai, which I will probably never sell unless I absolutely have to. But I wanted to get another watch that is timeless and something that is recognizable, respected, ultimately holds its value, and even appreciates. And right here, you're actually looking at a 16610 Submariner. And again, I don't want to not give credit to the ring right there. Retails for about $4,500. Of course, I did not spend that, and I'm going to explain. But just kind of want to show this off. One of the few watches that I would actually recommend to try to own. But excellent diving watch. Again, very recognizable, timeless, and all the bad boys got them. All the successful men, the men running companies, they'll tend to have that watch. And all walks of life of men who, have some money. But truly, folks, timing, preparation, and diversification played key roles in how I walked away with the classic Rolex Submariner and a $4,500 diamond ring for just $12,000 out of pocket. It wasn't luck, it was strategy. When most people think about dropping 5 figures on luxury items, they assume it's always pure cash. Oh yeah, they had to have paid pure cash. No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. I use a smart blend of traditional money, digital assets, and silver to make this deal happen, proving that wealth isn't just what's in your wallet, it's also what's in your stack. The purchase began with $2,000 in cold, hard cash, just enough to establish legitimacy and show the seller I was serious. But the real power came from what I added next. 55 Solana, Sol, a crypto asset I'd been stacking since 2019, 2020. At the time of the deal, that crypto was valued at around $8,000. While many people were still stuck thinking in fiat, I leveraged the gains from my digital holdings to expand my purchasing power without draining my bank account. Next came silver, roughly 55 ounces of it. That's about $2,000 worth at the time. So this is all very recently, within the last couple days, maybe less depending on the premiums. To most sellers, physical silver may not be attractive, but this seller understood the real value of hard assets and respected the fact that silver is private, portable wealth. And I keep referring to them as the seller, but this seller is a friend of mine, a personal friend of mine, and they hooked it up merely because I've done so much business with them, and they know that I'm going to keep sending them business, and I'm going to do business with them again in the very near future. The Rolex itself, a clean, authentic piece from 2012, never worn in mint condition, represents timeless value. It's the kind of watch that not only holds value, but appreciates. Paired with the $4,500 ring, this isn't a quick flip or emotional buying. This is legacy wealth, assets I can pass on, liquidate in a pinch, and wear with pride, knowing they were acquired through strategy, not just spending. Because right now, folks, if I really wanted to, I could go and sell the ring, sell the watch, and make, easily a couple grand or more in profit. But again, that's not what this was about. Of course, I wanted a bargain of a deal, which I got it, but it was something that I was looking at this in the long run, ultimately in the long run, something that I can pass on, and there's going to be a story to it and a lesson to it. By blending multiple forms of value, cash, crypto, and silver, I lowered my risk and opened the door to deals others wouldn't even consider. Sellers who understand real value often prefer mixed payments, especially when they believe in the upside of what they're receiving. That's the key. The lesson: don't just stack for the sake of stacking. Stack with intention. Think like a strategist, not just a spender, not just a consumer. Really, really protect yourself. The way you protect yourself when you're selling, protect yourself when you're purchasing. Whether it's watches, land, or life-changing assets, the game changes when you learn to trade wealth, not only earn it. But folks, as always, thank you so much for joining us for another evening of Silver Dad Knows. God bless you, God bless your household, and God bless America.